GM, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Usually migration days are on a Tuesday, but we started on 420 for a special Bobo migration. I don't see Rhett in here, so I'm gonna have to ping him to make sure the homie shows up today. Chris, how we feeling?
Yo, what is good? Massive day today. First Ethereum to Solana migration. We've been kind of working on this build out for months, actually. And I know the communities have been working internally as well on all the social and kind of community aspects of it too. So, I mean, another Tuesday here, but this is one of the biggest Tuesdays we've had a while.
Yeah, we we learned a lot about cross-chain migrations, moving ETH maxis over to Solana. The most common issue was that nobody had Solana in their wallet. It's kind of interesting. Very, very typical of crypto, but we were able to solve that. And I think we've solved every issue so far up into this point. Let me see. So checking and let me see where we were today. When I woke up this morning, we were at 6% or so, 5.5%. It's been a steady flow of migrations here today. So we're currently at, let's see. Yeah, 6.7. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty good flow today. Yeah, interesting. So, Rect, how are you feeling today?
Pretty good. I was just really impressed with how everything, because the day one hiccups and stuff that we kind of knew that were going to be there. Everything got hammered out really fast, and I don't know. I'm feeling really good because it's going really well from what I'm seeing right now. So that's really all I could ask for.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. There's always a little bit of hiccups in the beginning, but we're now moving and cruising. L Bank yesterday or last night announced that they suspended trading. They're generally pretty good about getting this figured out as soon as possible. For Don D on the live stream says GM, good to see you. Happy to see you today, as always. One of our favorite people in the community. I'm gonna pull up SoulScan here to see how many claims we have so far to the specifics. I've been kind of monitoring it just to watch. It's kind of funny, the ratio of 69,000 to 1, so 228 people have migrated so far. When we want to talk to the exchanges, and they always ask, what's the ratio? Usually it's 1 to 1 or like 69,000 to 1. They were like, what? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, you're going from 69 trillion to 1 billion supply. And then they're all just like, LOL. That's kind of funny. But standardizing, moving forward. And I think we've done pretty well. So we'll have more updates. Generally how migrations work. The first 48 hours are generally the pretty strongest. And then it kind of is steady throughout the 12 days or so in between. And then the last 2 days is generally really where you'll see the majority of the migration flow. It's just human behavior. You'll never see people change. We just had a migration end right now, Relax, that ended up, I believe, with close to 40%. They were at 20% yesterday. So it's just humans are always going to be this way. But it's time to dive into, with the man of the hour and talk about Bobo. Rect, I want to hear the original story of Bobo, how you got involved and really just kind of grinding it out on ETH mainnet over the past few years. I know it's not been easy, but you've managed to, be one of the dominant memers on ETH as well as the coin Bobo itself.
Yeah. Well, we were kind of like a community really before even the 2023 tokenization of all the memes. Like we came out with a NFT project in 2022, and the community was like, we need a token, because there was a lot of like Bobo coins launching after Pepe launched on Ethereum. And I was like, oh God. I was like, all right, I guess we need a token. And the rest is kind of history after that. And I think what's cool about all this is I actually used Emblem Vault early on, and I vaulted the first ever like Bobo ordinal like early
Nice.
on. So I'm always trying to be like the first ever for like Bobo anything. So I saw ordinals and I was like, oh man, I got to get the first ever Bobo ordinal. There is a Taproot wizard that is a Bobo, which is modeled after Small Gur, who was into Bobo memes and everything like that back in 2021 or whatever. But for like the actual picture of like Bobo, I believe I was the first ordinal minted on there, and then we vaulted it with Emblem. But yeah, the Bobo content extends way back. It's kind of like the origin story from like 4chan. I am responsible for a ton of Bobo content. People would really just kind of come to my page for all the Bobo memes and stuff like that. But people are like, the Bobo thing to me is like a Satoshi thing. There are a lot of different aspects that go into like the creation of Bobo into what it is today. Like the Bobo meme as you see it, like the logo is what I've created. But the variants of like the Apu frog variants and the different like Groiper variants and everything like that, there's all these different artists in the Bobo community that are responsible for these different looks that we got with Bobo right now. So it's really cool because it started off and I was like, well, if I do this, I want to go through and I want to find everybody that's made these different variants of Bobo throughout, history of time. So I did my deep dive searching. I was like, well, I know I made this, but I want to know who made this. Who made these 3D like clay animations that have been going viral for Bobo over the years? And then I found Bobo Capital. And I was like, oh, it's you. You're making all these badass Bobo memes. And he's like, yeah, man, I've been making these forever. I didn't know who was making this. I didn't know you made this. I was like, yeah. So it was like this really cool like kumbaya moment when you kind of like reach out and figure out who's making these memes behind the scenes, because really it wasn't a big deal back then. Before any of this was tokenized, we were just doing it for the love of the meme. We're just memeing on the timeline and getting engagement. And we thought it was funny, bear posting. But that's kind of like the whole origin of how it started. And then we went through, our Ethereum period is what I'm going to call it now. We went to 230 million market cap was our all-time high. And then everybody kind of knows the story after that. We listed on 10 exchanges at the top, and we've been, we're at where we're at right now. So, but we have one of the strongest communities in the space, I feel like, and I'm really excited for the future of Bobo tech and Bobonomics. So.
It always seems to be rite of passage getting listed exactly at the top, right? When the hype is really high.
Yeah.
But now, right, we're kind of at the bottom. And we were talking about this over the last few months as we were building this out. Timing the migration at the bottom of the market was a goal. We did it for ourselves, but also that was one of your objectives, so that you could kind of capture most of the upside. Would you explain a little bit of the reasoning and thought behind that?
Oh yeah, like I definitely want to time it correctly. I see like, people are like, why now? Why? Well, like, I've been in the space for, almost more than a decade now. And I've been through the market cycles. I see how things work. And there really isn't a best time to do anything. But when things are at, 90% retraces across the board, the fear and greed index, the fear is off the charts. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly when I want to start doing everything. So, this has been something I've been thinking about for a really long time. And to me, there really isn't like a better time to do it. So going over to the pump ecosystem too, people, if you look at the pump chart, it's down like pretty much at the lows. It's kind of going sideways and looks like a little bit of accumulation pattern. So just knowing charts and stuff too over the last decade is kind of, made that decision a little easier for me now too. So I'm not scared of, doing anything at any given time. So, because being in this space for 10 years, being the optimistic person has gotten me through everything. And that is why I am where I am now, because I never said never. Yeah, and you just keep going in crypto. You just keep going.
Yeah, unironically, the delusional bulls are the ones, right, that generally make it. But here, in this case, it's the delusional bears.
Yeah, it's like I would say like the delusional memers. Like the memes keep us here. I feel like the memes have kept us here in like the bear markets through like previous cycles. Like you just see a bunch of bear memes and everyone says like the bear content, the bear memes are funnier in bear markets. And I agree. And it keeps people around. And as long as you kind of like stick around, I think you'll be okay.
Chris and I are on stage. We also joined crypto in 2016. So we've been here for almost 10 years. And we're actually talking about this recently on a show about the commoditization of memes, where in previous cycles before this last kind of meme coin super cycle, memes were what got you through the bear market, but it wasn't about posting a meme and then there's a million tickers underneath. It was just more of like, kind of like a rally and some lightheartedness while all the tokens are down 99.9%. But now that memes have been financialized to a degree, how do you think that's changed, and how do you prepare for that as somebody who's a leader in this financialization of memes and tokenized culture?
Yeah, I think it's really, really hard for new traders to distinguish what's real and what's fake, because I really don't know like if they can get the same vibe from it unless they went through it previously. Like a lot of these new traders, when I talk to them, like they really don't understand that we were just posting memes for no reason. They just don't get it. Like none of this stuff was like tokenized whatsoever. So, it's hard to kind of get a grasp on what is, I feel like, culturally relevant in this space and what we've been using for a really long time, because now everything is tokenized. But like just maybe like 5 or 6 years ago or so, I would say, like if you even talked about a meme coin like Doge, for example, was constantly fudded. Everybody hated it. It was at a fraction of a penny. Just things like that. It's a lot different of a game now. But I don't know what I could say to anybody except just probably do your research and talk to people who have been here for a while. But I've tried myself to kind of tell people, what I feel like. At the end of the day, it's my own personal opinion. What I feel like is like culturally relevant to the space, or I can have my own opinions. But the game has definitely changed. I don't want to sound like an unk or anything, but it's kind of hard to relay that message.
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting how the industry's evolved, the financialization of memes, also just the differentiation in culture that's happened over the last 7 or 8 years. I remember Doge. All the OGs know that whenever Doge got under 20 sats, that's when altcoin season happened. It hasn't been back since 2020, but maybe it'll get down that low.
Yeah, I just had like crazy flashbacks with you saying that, like trading Doge against BTC, like that was the signal, and it was like, oh, the dog's barking. That's what everyone would say on time. Oh, the Doge is barking. That means alt season's about to start. So it was just like the same range on Doge you would trade. Like Doge would just like it just had this chart, it was like pump and dump every time the market was good or bad, and then as soon as Doge caught a bid, the market went crazy. It was insane trading against Satoshis.
Yeah, that was fun. Just one kind of side joke. We were talking about this the other day. When coin back in 2017, the ICO cycle, right? Everything was paired against BTC. Tether was still just a fraction of what it is today. And when coins would get down to 1 sat per BTC, everyone would think that was like the lowest could go, and then they would pair it against Litecoin, and then it'd be like the Litecoin market, and then that's when your token was super cucked, kind of forever. But going into kind of the Ethereum culture, how would you say that the meme culture on ETH has changed or maintained itself since Shiba launched kind of in 2021 to where it is today?
I think it's still pretty strong. I think it's still the same. There's just, because I don't know, maybe I'm more. I feel like I'm at liberty to talk about it a little bit since I've been a dev on Ethereum for 3 years with a meme coin now. But it feels like Solana kind of built out their ecosystem around memes, and ETH was just really focused on DeFi. And I mean, they made it very apparent that they were just kind of like, oh, memes, yeah, that's cool, I guess. That's kind of like what I got the vibe from, the Ethereum Foundation or whatever. And then Solana was like, all right, well, we're going to take that whole mind share and we're going to build around it. So they built out all the meme dApps and that whole ecosystem. So, I mean, there's like kind of like a little civil war going on right now with ETH and Sol memes and stuff like that. Do ETH memes have larger whales from over the years? Do they hold better? Is like the Solana culture not quite there yet? Do they just want to just flip things really quick? They don't really want to hold them. Will it evolve over time? I think it will. But it was kind of like that early on in ETH too. Nobody was really holding anything. That was something that kind of developed over time. But I think it's more of an issue now where the Solana blockchain and the ecosystem is kind of building around meme culture. And Ethereum was really trying to be like the hub for DeFi, and they didn't really care too much about what some of the bigger names were even doing on their chain, which I think was a mistake, and I think that's pretty crazy because like Pepe, Vitalik, he says "milady" a few times now. That's kind of cool, I guess, but I don't know. I have my own opinions on it, but I think Solana's done a really good job about building around memes and meme culture right now. So,
yeah, Chris, you got any questions?
Yeah, at the beginning, it wasn't just that Vitalik didn't really acknowledge it. He was like hostile towards it, right? Same with NFTs. Just didn't think that that's like what blockchains were really made for, and this kind of activity shouldn't really be going on chain. But it's ironically enough, it turned out to be the biggest use case for blockchain as it stands today. Have you noticed like that most of your community is kind of active on Solana already, or were more of them just kind of solely on ETH after all these years? What have you noticed between internally in your community between the two blockchains?
oh yes, like absolutely. Like Bobo is like a market meme too, so it attracts a lot of like traders. And it's very unique in that aspect too, because being a market meme, you have just a bunch of active traders, and they love this meme. They're constantly trading, so they use Bobo memes all the time. So this isn't really a community of people who are just like, oh, it's this meme and nothing else. No, they're all very active traders, and they're everywhere in the space. And we've really embraced that too. And they all are very active on Solana, trading memes too. So I also think it's really funny because you get like these ETH quote unquote maxis, and then you go to their page and they're all trading Solana tickers. It's very interesting dynamic. So I had this conversation with myself, and I thought about it for a very long time. And it's not that I don't hate Ethereum. I love these Ethereum projects that we've grown with. Shout out to like Apu and Joe and all these others. It's really more of like a Bobo decision and I thought was best for Bobo moving forward, and more so than like an Ethereum Sol decision. But to answer your question, yes, they all do trade on Solana, and I think that's kind of like the elephant in the room with a lot of these other ETH maxis as well.
Solid. Yeah, with migrations, what we're always saying is that it's really just an attention event more than anything else. You're looking for attention to revive the community and kind of bring some life back into something that maybe escaped it for a little while. And this is obviously the biggest kind of attention event that we can ask for with the first Ethereum to Solana migration. Is there any kind of crazy moments you'd like to relive from your peak at 230 million? That's always like kind of the craziest, most fun conversation. Is any kind of crazy community moments at the highs of 250 million before we started our trek back down to the Hades? That's where we are now.
Nah, not really. It is pretty wild to see like, you got like a marketing wallet for your project or whatever. And at the highs, I think it was like 20 million or it's like 25 million or so. It kind of makes you nervous seeing, that all in like a wallet or whatever. And when things are getting up there close to like super high. We had some crazy moments with like with Pepe on ETH when they were getting super fudded by Poly, and like we were in a Discord. I guess I can talk about it now. We're in like a Discord chat with like the Pepe dev, and he's freaking out, and we're trying to help him navigate all this FUD with it was right after some of their devs went rogue and like nuked on Binance, and then their one dev that was left, he was like he wanted to make it work. So shout out to him, and they know who I'm talking about or whatever. He's the one that's left right now, but that was a pretty crazy moment. I can't. There was a lot of crazy moments with Bobo. I would say it would be hard to pick one. I would have to really think about it. But
epic. One of my favorite quotes that I saw from you was just like you were like, I've been memeing this for free for over 3 years. What do you think I'm going to do with community rewards? And that's kind of, one of the biggest advantages of moving to something like PumpSwap or to your own LP, where you're actually going to have, consistent flow into the community treasury that you didn't have before. Is there anything that you're kind of looking forward to in terms of activations or incentives or things you're going to be using community rewards for?
Oh, I'm very excited about that. I've talked about it at length too with people who have reached out, especially like people that are more pro Ethereum too. They're just like, why are you doing this or whatever? And I'm like, well, I think other teams, maybe like, Pepe Mog or others, they kind of navigated it. Well, they definitely navigated it better than we did. I wasn't using LP fees or anything when we're generating all that volume. That was a huge big mistake on my part. Bobo was just raw dogging it. Like we didn't have like supply control at all. We did the thing where, you do like the 7-10% marketing wallet at the beginning, and then you just kind of let it ride, and then you get the exchange listings. We did the typical, route every meme coin token was doing at the time. But, that was me being ignorant to it all because I didn't know these other projects were cooking in the background. So I was like, oh, this is how you guys do this. We're going to launch a token. We're going to be with you guys out here. Cool. Let's do this. And they were, bundling 50% of the supply. They were doing 60. And I didn't, I learned about this long after the fact, 2 years in. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you guys are doing all this other stuff on the side. But so Bobo, completely decentralized, organic, just burn contract, burn LP, just flying around out there in the space, in the wild, just the wild bear. So this will be like the first time I'll really be getting any kind of financial incentive for this, and I'm very, very motivated to work like I've never ever worked before with Bobo. A lot of people know I was spending money like out of my own pocket for some of those exchanges in the later stages of Bobo, just to try to make everything work. So I don't know how much I lost by not having any financial revenue stream or anything like with Bobo, but I'm sure some of my community members could probably figure it out. We also had the wormhole bridge. I don't know if you guys knew about that. That blew up, and that cost me like roughly around $200,000. And I paid out a lot of the the money that was lost from community members that used that wormhole bridge. So yeah, I'm very excited for the future is what I'm trying to say with Bobo unsolved.
Bobo Labs has wrecked on the live stream. It is the case for a lot of these meme coin communities that are migrating is the fact that they've spent so much money out of pocket. They're ready to recoup some of that, get creator rewards, use the tokens for an incentive system or something in some capacity. It has been an interesting, I guess, few months of seeing meme coins migrate across. I guess it's across Solana, right? Going from kind of before Bobo, it was going from Bonk Fund to Pump, or Pump to Bonk Fund, or Pump to Radium, right? And all these different combinations. And we've seen some capacity of on-chain community members who do not want to migrate, or there's some community split or something of that nature. I have seen a different token say they're the true Bobo or something of that nature. But how are you guys as a community planning on the migration cross-chain? Is there any concern about a community split, or how are you handling that? I will add one more kind of note, is that Pepe was actually the first really that I've seen that was able to successfully export their culture cross-chain, right? Rare Pepe was tokenized on Bitcoin in 2016, and they actually used Emblem Vault to bridge, not just migrate, but bridge the assets over to Ethereum and had a lot of success. And then because of the success of Rare Pepe on ETH, it allowed the Pepe meme to then be tokenized as a fungible token, and then just kind of plug and play across every single chain that now has a Pepe coin and Pepe NFTs and such.
Yeah, like I think what sets us apart and why like we're so confident as a project to even like make a move this bold is because we control the memes. And like, you know, the Bobo brand, it was nothing years ago. It was just, you know, it was nothing to make money off of. So now you see all these other projects using the memes and the brand and everything that we've created over the years to try to, you know, grift and do their own thing. And but like from the source of the meme itself, it comes from us. So like, I mean, they could do whatever they want, but like our community is like so strong that I feel we can basically do whatever we want. Like I'm just, I don't know, man. I'm just in awe of like the Bobo community every day. It really is like one of the strongest like meme communities out there. They're just like, I can't thank them enough for just having my back through everything and trying to make it work with me. So um yeah, I don't know. I really think it's all just gonna work itself out. So I'm just really appreciative of all of them out there. So, and all the meme content creators in the community too. So those who control the memes control the universe. So it's never really been any kind of worry for us.
Memes, meme marketing, it only continues to grow. And it's even become somewhat of a component of corporate marketing now is using memes, however cringe or not that may be. But once the migration is complete, I think yesterday says you're ready to go wild on Solana. What are the plans, if you can reveal any? Is it more of just the same with higher intensity, or is there something else that you may be cooking up for a surprise?
I wouldn't say it's like, well, it will be a higher intensity, I think. I never really shilled Bobo on ETH that much, I feel like. I talked about it a lot, but like I was never as promotional about it. And we have just had all these people like lying in the wait, ready for us to make a move. Like we pretty much have every connection at this point over the last 3 years, every exchange connection, if we so want it, from, I mean, pretty much everyone you could think of. I've already talked to everybody. They're like, oh, so, you know, you're going to have access to supply again, stuff like that. We can set this up, this up. And I'm like, okay, well, hold on. We're just going to see how it goes. You know, we're going to go through like the first month, kind of chill out for a second, then we can knock this out and this out, this out. So really it's like getting control over the project again. And we have pretty much everything at our, you know, disposal. The problem was, you know, we kind of went through the basic meme cycle and we ran out of ammo. And we're going to have a ton of ammo to do whatever we want now. So, you know, everybody knows I have a strong feeling about like centralized exchanges and listings like that, but you know, not for the big names. So if there's big names we can get or whatever, sure, whatever. But I'm really, really excited about spurting through like the ecosystem on Solana with like, you know, Moonshot or any other decentralized apps. I think that's like where the real volume is, but we can basically do whatever we want now, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Not to like hype it up too much. I'm just saying like Bobo was kind of like a broken down Ferrari and it's getting a new engine. So now it can run again. That's what it feels like.
A nice little paint job as well. You got FOMO app, which is popular. Yeah. And we've kind of seen this just as we've been building on Solana for a year and a half now. There's a heavy amount of competition at the application layer, which is really the best. It gives you the most confident in the chain if you have a very strong community, because it gives you more areas of distribution, whether you're an infrastructure project or a meme coin or whatever. And I will have to say too, of all the exchanges we reached out that Bobo is listed on, it's very rare that every single exchange is pretty much supportive of the migration. A lot of times these coins, they have like very low liquidity, or the exchange has kind of just been looking for a reason to delist, and they generally will. But with Bobo, I think all of them that we talked to were completely on board. So that shows the strength, whether it's they see the value in it, or there's just a lot of tokens on the supply or on the exchange or whatever it is. And for those that are listening, basically how the exchange process works is, first and foremost, I'll say that exchanges are a little bit of a wild card. Sometimes they say things and they don't end up doing what they say, or there's like a gotcha kind of halfway through or something of that nature. But basically how the plan works is the migration ends, the new token will be launched on Solana. The exchanges then have to basically look at the contract. They have to do an audit. It's basically just, are there any additional extensions on this contract and stuff like that. But since you're launching with the Pump Fund SDK, it's pretty quick. The exchanges generally will pause withdrawals and deposits before the migration ends, as LBank did that yesterday. And then once the migration ends, we go and talk to them within our channels, and then we basically do like a manual token swap, which is that we look in their wallet that we have whitelisted for how many tokens they had on the supply or on the exchange, and then basically do a swap, and then they have to go through their own process and procedure. So they will do it for you, but there could be a delay. I mean, we've seen anywhere from a day or two to a month for the token to resume trading on an exchange. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to wait, the best thing to do is to do it on chain. If you don't mind waiting, then the exchanges will basically take care of it for you. Although I will have to say there have been curveballs that exchanges have basically delisted the token like a day before the migration ends, which is obviously not cool, but that's kind of what's ongoing there, and we will continue to relay information about the exchanges. But as for now, LBank is gone through, and we do have conversations with all of them. So just to give a little bit of information, because I know some people have asked. But then moving into, you're going to be in the Pump ecosystem. Pump was initially, a meme coin kind of chain. It's moving a little bit more into becoming more of like a startup incubator. How do you think Bobo fits in that ecosystem? As well as, do you see it more of like a competitive landscape against the other memes, or is it more of like a collaborative meme coin community from your perspective?
Definitely a collaborative. I'm a very big fan of Troll and Neat and Wojak and the way these other coins are operating over there. I don't want to come over there and really compete. I want to kind of like bring, some more like holder culture to the ecosystem. I kind of want to bring like that ETH culture over there and kind of like help change the culture, because I see a lot of potential over there. And I really love the way they do the marketing and they support the memes and everything like that. And I was like, that's great. That's exactly what I want for my project. I would love somebody from my own blockchain to talk about my projects and say, hey, look, it's up 20% on the day. Hey, they're doing the first cross-chain migration ever. Do you guys think this is cool? That's pretty cool. They're making history over here. Like, anybody want to say anything about it? So that's why I'm really excited to go over there. I just want to add to what they already have. I'm not going to go over there and be like, a liquidity black hole or anything. I want to see everything rise like it did early on in 2020, like late, 2024, like everything rise together. I want that happy meme ecosystem back. That's what I want to bring to like the Pump Fund and the Solana ecosystem. I want to bring that culture back over there. So it's funny coming, like, we're the bear community and we're, wanting to bring that over there, but that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. And we've seen from the Pump Fund side, they generally don't talk about, or all of our kind of migration partners, I should say, during the migration, they don't generally discuss the migration, but afterwards, once you're in their ecosystem, generally we'll see some sort of kind of activity around that. So I know some people complain about, whether not just specifically Bobo, but just migrations in general. Why isn't Meteora talking about us? Why isn't Pump Fund talking about us? All of them, we have chats with Pump Fund and with all these different platforms, and they are aware of the migrations. They obviously have to do their own kind of due diligence. And once upon a completion, then they generally start doing the integration process itself. And then, yeah, you kind of go on from there. Pump is getting the majority of our migrations at this point in time. I think it's well over 50% now. after a strong comeback. Do you what type of plans do you have with, I guess you would say, the the treasury of some capacity? Also, to just do a little bit of an explainer here, basically how the migration works in Pump Fund is you're relaunching through the bonding curve, right? So essentially the liquidity is going to be the liquidity to market cap ratio will be relative to what a new launch is like, right? It's generally about 2.5%, I think, to the market cap. But then there will be excess Solana, right? That's going to go into a reserve, as well as all the unclaimed tokens, which goes to the migrating team after 90 days. But then also there are creator rewards that are accrued, which can be actively claimed over time. But now that you'll have some firepower, what are specifically the plans with that? Some of the meme coins have said they're going to like put it in a DAO. Most teams generally put it in a treasury. Some teams burn tokens. Like we've kind of seen some teams redistribute it. We've kind of seen a wide variety of experimentation. I wouldn't say anything has been relatively I would say putting it in the treasury seems to be the most common, and then kind of making decisions afterwards. But with meme coin community specifically, it's been quite diverse on what the actual capital strategy is.
Yeah, I've thought about a lot of different things. I've thought about, rewarding the Bobo holders that are going through this migration process with me and, coming through, like, just through the fire and the flame through this whole thing. I've thought about that. And I think it was like, because the ratio is different. So if I just like blasted it, I don't know, we go like 50 mil market cap, or I think the map was like 50. I don't know. It would go really high. So, but I do want to have some decent liquidity too, but it is going to be a lot of firepower, and it is being talked about within the community. Some of the larger holders and stuff like that, and like the Bobo chat, what exactly we can do with all these extra funds and stuff like that. It's really me listening to the community to see what can be done. It's me and them. And I'm just kind of with the whole migration process. We'll see how much we migrate over and where the chips kind of fall, and then kind of get more into it. But I definitely want to do what's best for them for sure. And I don't know. I really want to like kind of. I don't want to say too much, but I'm really appreciative of the Bobo holders that are going through the migration process right now with me.
Yeah, you guys have a devout community. They definitely show up on the engagement side of things, and they're also obviously here in this chat as well. Yeah, you guys have a pretty thick LP, right? The ratio is like almost 20% or so from the liquidity to the market cap. Sometimes that makes it really hard for the price to move up. But obviously after the claim period, you can add probably some of that back into there to get it to whatever the ratio. With meme coins that we've talked with through migrations, some want that super thin liquidity. Some like the thicker liquidity. It's kind of really been a mixed bag. And I think it's all kind of in relation to how many like centralized exchanges there are, because I know a lot of people who trade memes tend to just trade it on exchanges because the liquidity is either higher, or it's high frequency trading. It's easier, kind of whatever that combination is. So
yeah, definitely. It's like I'm really just going to see how like the migration process plays out, how much we officially get migrated over, and how much we end up with, and kind of go through it there. I'm very vocal, and I'm in the chat every day with all the community and stuff. So I really want to hear from them as well when we kind of end up with like those final tallies, those numbers and stuff like that too. So we can do a lot. It's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Currently sitting at 6.8% migrated. I know there's like 5 or 10% on the exchanges. One thing that you will see is what we've learned through the migration process. Most people are actually not paying attention to the news or the kind of everyday conversation around their tokens that they hold, but they are paying attention to the price pretty much every day. So once that sell-off period does happen, you will see a flood of people coming into the Telegram or Discord saying, did you rug? Or even honestly, you get a lot of the kind of engagement farmers on the timeline whenever a big migration happens in that chart. drops by 50 to 100 or 90%, come in and say that the coin rugged, but actually it's a boost. It's an engagement boost because a lot of people then are notified of the migration and then they come in and you're basically reactivating all of the community because maybe some of them had a slight heart attack that they thought that the token rugged, and realistically all they have to do is migrate their tokens. But now you have their attention. Effectively, that's why we call it one of the largest attention events, because it's not just this 2-week period. It's going to be for a few weeks after that migration and claim process happens, when that swap happens and people come flooding in. Probably people you haven't heard from in years. When we did the Michi migration, we had a bunch of whales show up after the migration who were holding like 1-2%, who said they hadn't touched their coins in years. And then they saw that the old token went to zero and they came to check in and see what happened. And now they have a pretty active community.
I already got the bear memes ready. I'm ready. I think we're in a very unique position for that day. Like, that's why I got the wallet is currently, I wish I could label it like the Bear Zuka. That will be the wallet that sells off. So I already got the memes ready for it. The bear day.
Bear day. Bear down.
They're going to be the people, bear down. Probably like the worst slogan you can have for like finance. It's like, well, what are the bears though? Like bear market stuff. But yeah, I already got the bear memes ready for that. I can't wait for that day. So
me too. Craig has his hand up, so we'll call on that. And if anybody wants to come up and has a question about the migration, or you want to ask Rect a question, then just shoot a request and we'll let you up.
Hey, Jake, GM, I appreciate you having me up. Adam, I see you, buddy. Another great content creator and host. Rect, I actually hold some Bobo. Haven't done anything with it, obviously, but really looking forward to learning more about the migration process. So maybe I could share it on my live stream and learn a little bit more about it. I like the idea of Bear Day, and it's definitely a social currency event. So I'll definitely be following it a little bit closely. Where's some information that just, someone that doesn't hop necessarily into Discord? I try to keep my social media channels as clean as possible. Where do you think the best place for me to just grab more information and understand how it's going to all go and how I can, safely migrate the tokens over? What does that look like?
Yeah, there's, if you go to the Migrate Fund account that's on stage, there's just scroll through the feed. You'll see all of the examples. We put tons of tutorials out on how to migrate on Phantom or on MetaMask, or what the process is. There's a nice little pinned tutorial up there as well, or video that kind of explains the process. And then I know Rect as well is putting content out from the Bobo Council and his own pretty much every day, or pretty much every few minutes, it seems like.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my memeing too. I'm really trying to not meme as much. Like during this 14-day period, it's like a 14-day like ceasefire on memes for me. Like just so like people can get access to the information they need to. It's so hard for me not to meme. I just want to just meme about everything that I see. I'm like, oh, I want to make a meme for this like really bad right now and like clap back at somebody. But I'm just like, no, we need to pin this message. Everybody sees the migration stuff so people don't get confused. So I'm doing my best with that too. So, but yeah, I like I said, I'm very, very impressed with, I think the whole community is as well, with Migrate Fund, and just your guys' ability to take questions and DMs from people like yesterday that might have been having problems swapping, and then everything was fixed today. So looks like everything's running smoothly. So definitely Migrate Fund has like all the information that you need.
Yeah, appreciate that, and also appreciate the support. Right, we're building basically a brand new protocol, trying to commercialize and automate migrations. Migrations have been around literally since the beginning of crypto. They were a very manual process. I don't know if anyone remembers, if anyone's around in 2013, 14, 15, like the migration process was literally a spreadsheet. Snapshots didn't exist at the time. Airdrop tools didn't exist. It was basically a dev creating a wallet saying, send your tokens here, and then basically creating a spreadsheet to then send it out to other people on a wallet. So we've come very far over the last 13 or 14 years or so to create this protocol. And it's definitely a plane that you're building in flight, and different unique situations pop up. But Fortunately, we're an experienced team. Emblem was founded 10 years ago, actually from a migration itself. So we have a lot of understanding. And answering DMs, we always try to make sure we answer every single DM within, 12 hours or so. Most of the team is US based, so that's generally when the ticket support happens. And there are tons of scammers from the Migrate Fund. It seems like every time we get multiple accounts banned, there are just new ones that pop up. So just always interact with just the Migrate Fund account. All the full-time team members have an Emblem Vault badge in their account. So if there's no Emblem Vault badge, then they're likely trying to scam you. And yeah, we got everything solved. The big issue actually wasn't really, it was hard to kind of forecast, was in the claiming process. The majority of users didn't have Sol in their wallet. And so then when they went to go fill up the Sol, the screen refreshed and the MFT claim wasn't there. So we had to basically how we solved it, just for the nerds out there. The whole protocol is on chain. So everything's completely on chain. So basically we could take the transaction history, basically the wormhole message. And if that was communicated to your account, then basically it repopulates the MFT claim. And it's kind of funny. I was messaging with somebody yesterday about the issue, and they're like, they're like trying to get ETH maxis to migrate to Sol. Totally understand why I didn't have Sol in their wallet at the time. So we got that fixed. And everything else is, been pretty smooth since then. Got 2 weeks to kind of go through the whole process, and we'll do the actual cross-chain migration when you swap it for ETH and then to Sol and then the relaunch. And that'll be pretty exciting. I do know the Pump Fund team is watching it, as they're pretty interested in cross-chain migrations.
I will say, you ETH motherfuckers use more fucking weird ass fucking wallets that I'd never heard of in my damn life. Like, people are using shit. I'm like, wait a minute, did I hear about that wallet 5 years ago? It's like, dude, come on, bro. So this is like, honestly, you ETH guys, I used to be one of them, but man, time to upgrade to Phantom, bro. It's time to get rid of those old MetaMask wallets, man. This is your sign, brothers.
We had some people. We had some people reach out who are using Uniswap wallet. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Crazy work.
That's the unks, man. The ETH unks are coming over. So we're bringing the hold culture over. That's like what we're doing right now. So I'm just trying to we're gonna get with the times a little bit. Get a new shiny wallet that can do a few more things, and see how it goes. So, I want to say one more thing. Is I saw a lot on Telegram, especially I'm always doing battle in Telegram with scammers all the time. We even had like a battle of there was like 3 or 4 scammers fighting with each other in our Telegram last night. We were just kind of letting them go at it. We thought it was hilarious. I don't know. They were all calling each other scammers. But I have a lot of people that will impersonate my account on Telegram, and they'll DM you and ask you for info. Do not send anything to these people. I will not DM you. If you have any questions about the migration process or anything like that, you can just DM Migrate Fund, and they will handle it all. They're doing the customer service on this whole event. So do not get tricked and fall for any of those tactics.
Yeah, there are many of them. It's interesting that now, if you've been in the crypto space for a while, you kind of notice the cultural divide, or generational divide, I should say, between the chains, right? Like, Bitcoin is mostly boomers for the most part, or late kind of stage Gen X community. ETH is very much just millennial dense, from the VC investors who are kind of like Gen X, or the infrastructure builders, which are mostly millennials. But then you go over to Solana, and it is 90% Gen Z, mostly kids from 25 to 16, I guess. And the space moves very, very fast. That's why the hold times are pretty much 60 seconds at that point. So I'm interested to see if the kind of longer hold time horizon type community from Ethereum actually find some success on Solana, right? So it's basically all the people who've been holding Bobo on ETH for a few years or so. Does that mentality actually migrate over to Solana with the Bobo coin, or do you guys kind of fall prey to the Gen Z culture of selling because you can, right? Because it's instant and fast, and there's a lot of volatility or so. So that's one thing I'm actually looking forward to see.
Yeah, that's something I've been wondering too. It's let's say Bobo if Bobo is, more successful than other coins on Solana too, will it just be because we brought the ETH holders over to Solana? Is it because it wasn't necessarily launched on Solana at first? There's a lot that would kind of go into that as well too. So I don't, yeah, it's very interesting, especially like when it's a first of type deal. So it's very, very exciting for me to kind of see it all play out. But I believe in the community we got though, and I think they'll rally around anything. So I'm ready.
Yeah, I think so as well. The Unks take on Miami. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. Chris, you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess just one last thing for me is, migrations are dynamic. There's so many different moving parts, and so many people don't really know like what success might look like. And with migrations, something like yours, so many communities on the Ethereum blockchain and even in the broader Solana blockchain are just like spinning their wheels. They're showing up every day, they're doing all the things that they need, but they're missing that attention event, or they're missing the community rewards, or they don't understand that at the end of the migration they're going to have additional supply for their treasury. And so even if like the market cap might be the same going forward or whatever, you activated your whole community like it's never been activated before. You're going to have access to community rewards that you didn't have access to before. And then you're going to have a solid piece of supply for your treasury that might go to additional exchanges or whatever. So just in terms of even from the outside, it might not look like a massive success. Internally, all the dynamics are completely different. Do you have any kind of metrics or anything that you're looking for that kind of define success as in terms of the first cross-chain migration?
Yeah, like you said, it's like night and day. It's like being able to reset, but you still like maintain your levels that you have right now. So it's really just like a jolt of energy into the project. I don't know. It's like I learned a lot over the last 3 years, and I think like the way I will be moving forward will be a lot more calculated. So I'm really excited. As far as like the metrics, the whole reason I'm doing this is because I looked at the numbers. I argued with AI bots for hours and hours and months. Like, what would work? What would you do this? Get, talking to other people, what their opinions were on it and everything like that. How could I realistically get this project not only to all-time high, but send it to, $1 billion market cap? What exactly would have to transpire for me to do that? So I had to sit back and look at it like it was a day one, like I was coming in trying to fix, everything. And this is kind of the path that led me down. So I think, like you said, all those things that are going to transpire, we're going to have more treasury, everything kind of working in our favor. I'm very excited for what the metrics might be going forward for the project, because I wasn't really, I don't want just an all-time high. Like the community has always just been like, Bobo Billions is kind of like our moniker, like our slogan or whatever. So I would be like, okay, well, if we actually want to do this, what do we got to do? And I think we are in a prime position to do that on Solana, especially with all the tools we'll have and the treasury and everything like that. So that's kind of how I see it.
Let's go.
It's going to be a good time. Appreciate Rect for showing up here, for making history with the first cross-chain migration. Also the community that has literally been reposting, sharing, highly engaged across the entire migration. It means a lot to us, to believe in us and help take history here with the first cross-chain migration. We have actually had a few ETH projects reach out as well, because you guys have been so active on the timeline. If there's any questions, just DM the Migrate Fund account. That is the only place to do ticket support. Nowhere else. Please let the community know. We do not do it on Telegram because it's easy for scammers to delete messages. If you do it on Twitter, it cuts out 90% of the scams. So please, if there's any questions, if you need a migration of your own project or just anything in general, you know where to find us. And I appreciate everyone. Appreciate Rect. We got 13 days after the migration ends. You'll come back and turn in your MFT for the Bobo token when it relaunches on Pump. It's pretty much the same process, but we will have a tutorial out on May the 4th. Be with you. Until then, everyone have a good and safe Tuesday, and we'll see you guys soon.